Good morning, Bulldogs. Welcome back to Co-Blue News Season 3. I'm Joseph McLaughlin here with Matthew Messina, 6 feet apart. I hope you all had a great February vacation. During our break, the CBN team participated in the Student Television Network Virtual Convention. We'd like to congratulate Andrew Larossi, Chuck Larossi, and myself for getting an Honorable Mention award for one of their competitions.
In other news, ever since the beginning of the school year, Massachusetts schools have been finding different ways to accommodate with COVID guidelines. However, many parents and politicians have been fighting for every kid to return to school. The Massachusetts Board of Education and Charlie Baker held a conference about this on Tuesday.
And it's our responsibility to ensure the kids can get back in the classroom. They deserve the highest quality education possible, and especially for the younger kids, that begins in the classroom.
The superintendents and their school staff have done amazing work implementing the mitigation strategies and the pool testing, and I cannot shout them out enough. We are now asking them to go one step further to begin the process of getting more of our kids back to school this spring. I would personally like to thank all of the educators for their continued partnership and willingness to take on all the challenges we have faced this year. Thank you.
Now let's turn things over to Matt, who recently visited Jerry's Pizza to see how their business has been impacted during the pandemic.
There are many pizza places in Holbrook, but there's only one that opened during the pandemic. This same pandemic has proved very difficult for Jerry's Pizza upon their opening, but they've still managed to create pizza pies for Holbrook citizens every day.
I opened a location in Holbrook like 2 months ago. We just have 2 locations. The thing that we opened in the beginning of COVID, so we don't know what the normal used to be. But so far, I think like comparing to everybody else, I think we're doing good because now all we're doing is like to-go and pickups, so there is no dine-in. So it doesn't affect us that much. Nobody open a dine-in restaurant right now because of COVID. We don't have like people waiting inside our restaurant. We have the screen. We always use the mask. Even if we work together in the restaurant, always the mask. We try to serve the customer like they can stay in their cars and we can bring the food outside. When we deliver, we make sure that our drivers have mask on and always sanitize in between the deliveries. When you work inside a restaurant, it's really hard for people, to work with the mask. Well, when you're cooking and it's too hot and warm inside the oven, so this is really make our job really more harder. But we're gonna do what we're gonna do.
During the pandemic, Jerry's Pizza has been one of the most popular pizza places in Holbrook, and hopefully they'll be here for years to come. This is Matthew Messina, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Matt.
Anytime, Joseph, anytime. Switching gears, this Monday and Tuesday will be the first round of Senior Co-Blue Feud. On Monday, March 1st, the 2 teams from Cohort A will battle in blocks 5 and 6. On Tuesday, March 2nd, the 2 teams from Cohort B will battle in blocks 5 and 6. If you are a member of Co-Blue Feud, please come in on your cohort's corresponding day and bring your game face. This is going to be good.
Switching gears, the winter athletics season at HMHS has wrapped up. I have an update on the upcoming Fall 2 season. After months of meetings and discussions, the Fall 2 season is set to go in a few weeks. There are 5 sports that will run during this upcoming season. Those sports being football, soccer, cheer, cross country, and volleyball. Recently, athletic directors held a meeting ironing out the season's last-minute wrinkles.
Just going over the rule modifications for each sport. Any issues we had from the winter season, like what to maybe expect or look out for and do a better job with. And then we spent most of the time focusing on developing schedules and divisions for each league schedule. I think it will be a bit chaotic, but in a good way. It'll be good to have everybody back out there. I think there'll be some new challenges that we haven't thought of, and that they come up and you deal with them as you go. But I think it'll be good. I think everyone's chomping at the bit to get out there. After releasing signups yesterday, I think we already have over 40 athletes signed up. So I think people are excited and ready to do something.
Many athletes and coaches are just happy that a season is possible. Most of them did not expect to be in this position a year ago.
I was thinking about that the other day. I remember that meeting back in September when I had to tell people that there were no sports, and I thought to myself, signing up as an AD, you never thought you'd have to say that to somebody. But I think we've all worked together, and the coaches have done a great job, and the league's done a great job working together, and just to give an experience for kids, and I think that's the ultimate goal. And I think the winter went well, and I am looking forward to fall too.
Playoffs for each sport is still up in the air because there is no official tournaments this year. However, the MIAA wants to give athletes some type of postseason experience. We'll provide more updates in the future. Reporting from Holbrook Middle-High School, this has been Joseph McLaughlin for Code Blue News.
Thank you, Joe. One-time SDN honorable mention winner, Joe. Excuse me.
2 weeks ago, we pulled 10 teachers to win gift cards to celebrate teacher appreciation. And now, because we at HMHS love our teachers so darn much, we're pulling 10 more names. All right, so here we go.
All right, first name is going to be Mr. Gifford.
Second name will be one of these names. I have one in my hand. There we go. Mary Clawher.
All right, let's speed this up. All right, Miss Fies Canaro.
Christine Golden.
Mrs. Stacy Latine, through her name.
Miss Pallone.
Mrs. Grant.
Mr. Gordon.
Two more, Miss Anderson.
And Mr. Monteith. Congratulations. Now, let's go to Kevin Hillman, who is here with a quick review of the movie Judas and the Black Messiah.
Hello, and welcome to a very special movie review with me, Kevin Hillman. Today we're going to be reviewing the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, a movie about the story of Bill O'Neill, a man who, after being charged with the theft of an automobile, is forced to infiltrate the Black Panther Party for the FBI, or face 6.5 years in jail, and Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton, the man who led the Black Panther Party chapter that O'Neill is forced to infiltrate. I think the movie is great for a number of reasons. The characters are written like actual people, rather than this idealized caricature of a civil rights movement and Black Power movement activist. They are shown with insecurities, they are shown that have vulnerabilities. It really works in the movie's favor. I think that on top of that, the performances of Daniel Kaluuya as Fred Hampton and Lakeith Stanfield as Bill O'Neill really add to the movie. They're just amazing performances that really encapsulate who the characters were and really build upon the writing. The original score of the movie is one of the best I've ever heard of really any movie I've ever seen. And that really helps set the tone of the movie. Overall, I think I'd give the movie an 8.5 out of 10. I definitely recommend that you go and see it if you have HBO Max or if you're willing to go to the movie theater. And that's all from me. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Kevin.
Today, we conclude our celebration of Black History Month with Unity Day. Unity is always something we should strive for at HMHS. Part of moving forward as a united society is to acknowledge wrongdoing in American history and take active steps to repair the harm done to marginalized groups. Unity means not only affirming students and staff of different backgrounds, but also challenging actions and language that can be harmful to those groups.
True unity requires discomfort for those who have been in a position of privilege, whether that's due to race, gender, sexuality, religion, or economic status. As we end the month, reflect back and think of ways you can incorporate what you have learned from teachers and students alike into our school environment moving forward. Let's make this a school where all students can feel that they can have Bulldog pride.
With that said, let's close the show with CBN reporter Vincent Tran with the final Black History Month segment of 2021.
Because of Black History Month, teachers were given the opportunity to talk about important Black figures with their class. These figures could be anyone ranging from historical civil rights activists to present-day celebrities.
I chose Ava DuVernay, who is a director. She is known for When They See Us and Selma and A Wrinkle in Time and quite a few others. She's one of the first Black women to be nominated for an Oscar for a couple of different films. She was nominated for one for 13th, her documentary, and then for Best Film for Selma. I feel like a lot of times people don't recognize directors as much as they recognize actors. And I think she does such an awesome job with her storytelling, and she tells really important stories. And so I thought I would teach about her, tell people a little bit about her, and then encourage students to actually watch some of her work.
For Black History Month, I chose to teach a lesson on Henrietta Lacks. Henrietta Lacks was a woman in the 1950s in Baltimore who was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and while she was being treated, her doctors took some of her cancer cells and donated them to a lab at the hospital where she was being treated, and her cells became the first immortal cell line, so the first cells that were able to grow forever in a lab. She was being treated at the hospital that she was at because it was the only hospital that would treat Black patients, and her doctors took her cancer cells without her permission. Lots of people made lots and lots of money off of them without her ever knowing, or her family ever knowing what had happened. I wanted my lesson for Black History Month to feel authentic and like it was something that was relevant to my subject in the area that I teach. So I knew that I wanted to pick someone that was relevant to biology, and I had heard of her before and her story before. And so I thought it was something important to talk about. There's a really great book about her called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. So if her story interests you and you want to know more about her, there's a really great book written about her and her life and her family and what her family went through learning this about their mother and all of the amazing things that her cells were able to do for us, and finally getting her the recognition that she always deserved.
It is important to remember these stories as the Black community has contributed a lot to American history. This has been Vincent Tran with Code Blue News. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Vincent, for all of your Black History Month segments throughout February.
That about wraps up the 98th episode of Code Blue News.
It's funny you bring that up, Joe, because in 2 weeks we are arriving at the 100th episode of Code Blue News. It will be an extravaganza the likes that HMHS students and staff have never seen before. Careers will be made, storylines will be concluded, and most of all, dreams will come true.
Matt, what the heck are you talking about? Have you lost your mind?
Okay, Joe, I know you weren't here for season 2, but I've never really had my mind. You, yes, you at home will definitely want to tune into the 100th episode of Code Blue News. Until then, I'm Matthew Messina.
And I'm concerned for Matt's mental stability, otherwise known as Joseph McLaughlin. See you next Friday for our 99th episode.